start reeling it in.
All right, we're just about to start our very first track event of the afternoon, and the young ladies are being introduced at the moment. There will be 2 sections of finals for both the women's and men's 1 mile run. There'll be a slower heat first and then the championship heat after that. These 6 competitors are competing for personal best times, but they will not have a chance to win the UAA association title as the gun is sounded and off they go. In purple, Isabella Stianes from NYU, Brandeis Megan Berry, Maria Dorenzo from Case Western, Wade Lacey from Carnegie Mellon, Ileana Zeisner from Emory, and from Carnegie Mellon, Valerie Collins. Carnegie Mellon's out front in both the 2 red bibs, or I should say red jerseys, but everybody, thankfully for the track, does have a bib on. It'll be a little easier to identify everybody.
So this is the slower heat, but this heat has a chance to sneak in and score a few points there, usually on the tail end. Sometimes that second heat can go out and become really tactical and end up moving pretty slow, and these guys, if they run fast, they keep the pace honest and up-tempo, somebody can PR and maybe steal a couple points.
Collins and Lacey for Carnegie Mellon out front. You're right, I should have pointed that out, that these young ladies, based on their times, could still contribute to the overall team totals. So,
but yeah, it is more difficult to try to win from this heat. You know, in that second heat, it's just going to be loaded and ready to go.
The top seed time in this heat is 5 minutes and 24 seconds. The lowest seed time in the next heat is 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So, as you said, they would really have to run a good race here in Heat 1. Couple laps around the track already. Of course, on the indoor track, 1 mile run is 8 laps around.
Yeah, and for these ladies, you know, they just need, you know, maybe 5-10 second PR, and that could be enough if that second group goes out a little bit slower and more conservative, and they could squeak in. And, you know, sometimes you see people score up as high as, you know, second or third. Somebody could even win it potentially, but that would be very rare and very difficult out of this slow heat.
Carnegie Mellon still in the top 2 spots with Collins and Lacey. NYU's Stianes hanging around in third. Dorenzo pulling up the rear at the moment with Berry and Zeisner locking in that 4th and 5th spot. Right now the pace setter is Valerie Collins. Her 5 minute 24 second seed time is certainly the top in this first heat. We still do have 2 other field events, but they have not begun yet. The men's pole vault, the men's shot put are the only 2 remaining field events here at the indoor games. A quick check of the watch from Valerie Collins. About halfway done. So far, so good for Carnegie Mellon. They have been out front from the get-go. The favorite to win the mile, well, that's really kind of a coin toss because there are several runners that are within just 3 seconds of each other. So hard to know for sure who would be the favorite this year in this championship race, but certainly be fun to watch. Carnegie Mellon still top 2 spots. NYU hanging around in 3rd. They've been on the track for 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Only roughly a minute and a half to 2 minutes away from being finished up.
Yeah, the champion from last year, Emily Bryson, she's not in this event. She's doing the 3K today, but her twin sister, Julia Bryson, is in this second heat later, so get to see twins in action.
Looking forward to it for sure.
Some of that yesterday as well with Brandeis's DMR. They had the Bryson twins and the Valdez twins on there, so 2 sets of twins running 1 relay. Not something you see very often.
Not at all. That's terrific.
This
little
front,
separation here.
Yeah, this front group's starting to pick it up a little bit. They've kept this pace really honest the whole way.
They certainly have, and actually Isabella Stianes from NYU is pulled into second place trying to make a push, and now she takes the lead. Final lap. Can Stianes from NYU finish off with a closing 200 meters? She's got Valerie Collins right on her tail. Coming in 3rd at the moment, Wade Lacey. Everybody trying to put forth the best finish they can.
Megan Barry's making a move into 3rd here too.
Yeah, Carnegie Mellon's Wade Lacey is fallen back into 4th. Barry is in 3rd. It's a sprint to the finish for Valerie Collins and Isabel Stianes.
This is going to be a big PR for them.
It's a terrific race from
5:19.
NYU. It is a 10-second season best for Stianes and the Violets. 5:19, 5:1 for Collins, just a couple tenths behind. 5:21 from Megan Barry at Brandeis. 5:24 for Lacey and Carnegie Mellon. So we'll see if perhaps the 5:19 mark holds up. It would be a decent chance, I think, maybe to finish in the top 6 or 7. Obviously, you need to be top 6 in the conference in order to pick up team points.
Yeah, last year it took a 5:08 to score, so we'll see this year. Without the returning champion, Emily Bryson, she's in the 3K later today.
Here are your competitors in Section 2 of the Women's 1 Mile Finals. From Case Western, Isabel Torres-Payton. A couple of young ladies from Chicago, Maddie DeVoe, Megan Werner-Christ, and Emma Dyer. Carnegie Mellon's Catherine Riley. 2 young ladies from Washington University, Audrey Western and Abigail Martin. From Emory, Gabrielle Stravach, and 2 ladies from Brandeis, as we mentioned, Julia Bryson and Kira Shreve.
Megan Werner-Christ and Gabrielle Stravach are both doubling back later today in that 800 final as well, so it's be very interesting to see how they take this one out.
Off they go. Chicago's out to the early lead. It's Werner-Christ.
Werner-Christ and Stravach are out there.
Stravach, yeah, right at the
They've
at the
taken
top.
control right away.
Everybody's a little bit different. Some like to try and run from the front of the pack. Others don't mind being in the middle and picking their time to make the move late.
Yeah, Audrey Western from WashU's in here in 3rd. She ran a great 1200 leg on the DMR last night.
Stravach out front. Werner-Christ right on her tail. Both ladies from Washington University, Audrey Western, Abigail Martin, hanging on the inside. And Carnegie Mellon's Catherine Riley up toward the front of the pack too. She's currently in 4th. Finishing up the second lap. They're 25% of the way done. Haven't had a ton of movement yet. Stravich and Werner Christ, maybe a little separation. Both Western and Martin in 3rd and 4th. Catherine Riley in 5th.
That's Julia Bryson in 6th, sitting right there behind Catherine Riley.
Yeah, and you almost wonder if maybe she's just kind of milking it here for a couple of laps and then waiting to turn it on. Washington University, of course, not just competitive in the UAA, but almost always among the best teams in the nation. They're an excellent sprinting team. Historically, they've been okay in distance running too, but especially last year, sprinters like Kelly Hancock and Daisy Ojeda, Rebecca Ritterhoff, I mean, they were loaded last year at the outdoor national and the indoor national.
Yeah, they were able to bring home the indoor national title last year.
Sure did.
But you're right. They were loaded across the board.
Halfway home, and it's the same two ladies out front really making a push. Stravich in 1st, Werner Christ in 2nd. Both young ladies from Washington University, Western and Martin, hip for hip. As Carnegie Mellon's Catherine Riley has faded to the back of the pack. Werner Christ and Stravich, they've got a good 30-meter lead on Washington University. Stravich still in 1st, Werner Christ 2 strides behind her. 3rd place Martin, Western in 4th. 5th place at the moment, Julia Bryson, hanging tough. And then a pack of Maroons and a couple of Brandeis runners as well. Carnegie Mellon in last place. The meet record is 4 minutes, 55.29 seconds from Bryson last year. Of course, Emily Bryson, you mentioned Julia's sister. 2 laps remaining. Stravich running really strong. Werner Christ perhaps losing a stride. Abigail Martin hanging in 3rd. Audrey Western right now in 4th.
Stravich just made a big move on the backstretch here to create more separation between her and Werner Christ.
Yeah, she has really turned it on. One more lap to go. Gabrielle Stravich trying to win the UAA 1 mile championship. You're right, Werner Christ doing everything she can to catch up, but Stravich has kicked it into another gear. In fact, Werner Christ might be challenged for 2nd place because Abigail Martin is hot on her tail.
Yeah, Abigail Martin's run really great here in 3rd to close this gap.
But it's Emory's Gabrielle Stravich who is cruising to a championship. She might win by 5 seconds. Across the finish line first. University of Chicago comes in 2nd place with Ms. Werner Christ. Abigail Martin in 3rd. Audrey Western passed for 4th place. I believe it's DeVoe in 4th, and then Martin in 5th. Check that, Western in 5th. So it's Stravich, Werner Christ, Martin, DeVoe, and Western in that order, the top 5. 6th place finisher is Julia Bryson from Brandeis. A 4 minute, 57 second mile. Just 2 seconds off the meet record. Strava ran a sub 5-minute mile on the indoor track on a track that is still, as you and I have talked about, a little bit slower because it's so new. That is flying.
Yeah, that's really fast. And as you can see, too, the sixth place finisher there was 5:14, and out of the first heat they were 5:19, so it was pretty close. If that race had gone out a little bit slower, you might have seen a few people sneak in from that slower heat.
Congratulations to Emory's Gabrielle Stravach. She is a UAA champion. We have the men's 1 mile run coming up here shortly. Also will be a 2-heat race. Section 1 of the finals will include 9 runners and then 10 runners in the second section. We are also expecting the men's pole vaulting to get underway pretty soon. It was supposed to be a 12 noon start, although unless I'm missing something, I haven't seen anyone pole vault yet.
Yeah, it looks like they just finished their meeting where the official talks through the rules and some of the progressions with the athletes. So looks like they'll be getting underway any minute now.
I was going to say, I didn't think I missed it, but every time we kept looking over, I didn't see anybody having at it yet. And of course, the men's shot put at 12:30. That'll come up here shortly as well. Okay, let's start with the first section here of the men's 1 mile run. Let you know who's competing. From NYU, 2 young men, Connor Riley and Benjamin Karam. Emory also with a couple of competitors, Holden Ringer and Jacob Hedgepeth. 3 from Brandeis, Alec Rogers, Max Whitmore, and Harper Polio Barbie. And from the University of Chicago, Jacob Amiri. From Case Western Reserve University, James Gibson. Holden Ringer did not have a time to qualify, so he's put in the second heat. Or I should say the first heat, but it's the slower of the 2 heat times. Nice start from the outside. Jacob Hedgepeth wanted to run out front. And he had the furthest part of the outside of the track. And in the first roughly 100 meters, he's off to a good start.
Yeah, you could see there in the start it was a little physical, a little bumping and pushing, but that's pretty normal out of the start because everybody wants to get in their position and settle in and find a good spot for making their move later in the race.
Hedgepeth still at the top. James Gibson from Case right on his tail. There's not too much separation in the pack here early in the race. That's kind of what you expect. The first couple laps, everybody's sort of grouped together, and they try to time up on the straightaways when they want to make a move or lay back a bit.
Yeah, it looks like Jacob Amiri's moved to the front.
Amiri ran 4:28.59 as his seed time. And he's got good, comfortable, long stride at the moment. It's Chicago, Emory, and Case. In the top 3 spots at the moment, Brandeis and NYU hanging around the back. Alec Rogers trying to push forward as I believe that's Connor Riley that at the moment is in the back of the pack. Amiri still at the top. Hedgepeth and Gibson close behind him. Gibson about a stride behind. Hedgepeth 1 behind him. Coming up on halfway through the men's 1 mile in our first of 2 heats.
Yeah, I would expect this second half of the race to be a lot faster than the first half, just based on the At times these guys have run about 4:25. They came through at about 2:15.
Hopefully we're looking at a fun second half of the race for sure. Amiri is, I would say, 75 to 80% of the race thus far. He's been out front. We'll see if anybody challenges him.
Yeah, and you can see him starting to bunch up a little bit, and people starting to get close to stepping on each other. So I would expect to see somebody start to make a move here.
Amiri has things tightened up on him. It's Brandeis making the move. That's Max Whitmore pushing ahead. Whitmore's in bib number 47, right on top of Amiri. Right now it looks like there's a little three-way tie there for second place, and Amiri loses the front of the pack.
Yeah, you could see Hedgepeth was just, he wasn't happy with the pace, and he was looking for a way out when he was boxed in there, and as soon as he got it, he picked up the pace.
Hedgepeth's got the lead with 2 laps to go. And you can really tell, as you mentioned, that pace is starting to escalate quickly. Amiri has fallen all the way back into 7th, perhaps even 8th. In fact, it is 8th now. It's been tough for him that last 100 meters. 4 men at the top, final lap. Hedgepeth out front. Benjamin Karam from NYU trying to force his hand. It's a sprint to the finish. Benjamin Karam. 4:24 is his personal best. Hedgepeth trying to out-touch him, and he does. Hedgepeth wins the first heat. 4:28, 0.2 of a second faster than NYU's Karam. Brandeis with Whitmore coming in 3rd, and Gibson from Case in 4th. That'll set up our championship heat. Section 2 coming up momentarily. Well represented by Wash U with 3 runners. NYU with 1 additional guy that will run here in the second heat. Aiden DeSanto from Case is the Spartans' best hope at trying to win the men's 1 mile.
Yeah, we can expect to see a really exciting race here. You know, if you just looking at some of the seed times, Carnegie Mellon has a guy at 4:17. Wash U's Nick Matucci is at 4:14, and Max Brown is at 4:16 from Emory. Wash U also has Ethan Brodeur at 4:19, and Matucci and Brown ran the mile legs last night on the DMR, and they were moving really fast. And Max Brown probably ran the most phenomenal and stunning DMR mile. He must have made up 100 meters on everybody else in the field. So I'm really excited to see what these guys do today, and you know what they have in the tank.
Nick Matucci from Washington University right now knows that he's got to put forth an outstanding effort. Matucci at 4:11.38 is just 4/100ths of a second from being top 15 in the country. That would qualify him for the national meet.
I forgot to mention Evan Yukovic here from Carnegie is a 4:15 mile too, so this is going to be a really fast mile.
His best mile of the year, Yukovic, is 4:12.76. And Max Brown from Emory, his best of the year, 4:13.48. They are all in the top 30 of the country. But you got to be top 15 to go to Birmingham, Alabama in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and you see Max Brown's out in front. Nick Matucci's right behind him, and Evan Yukovic is in 4th.
For someone like Matucci, who you would think is certainly one of the favorites in this race, how much of it is just trying to run your own race versus measuring yourself against the guys that are either behind or in front of you?
A lot of these guys are going to run together. Somebody's going to get out there and set the pace, and if you're not happy with it, then they'll move around. So I would say if they're comfortable with the pace and it's up tempo enough, Most people will sit and, you know, run the race that's happening, but if it's too slow, then you'll move up and start to take over, as you've seen Nick Matucci do here. He wasn't happy with the pace Max Brown was setting, and he's now moved up to take the lead and set his own pace.
Liam Walsh also running pretty well so far for Carnegie Mellon. Matucci for Washington University, he's in that bib number 3. Or I should say runner number 3, bib number 337 at the front. Evan Yukovic right on his tail. And NYU's Karn Satya trying to finish in the top 3. Of course, in all events, track and field alike, the top 3 finishers on the podium earn all UAA honors. If you are all conference in any event in this conference, you are a fabulous track and field athlete.
Yeah, it's really hard, especially this men's mile. Looking at these seed times, it's very fast, and they're living up to that expectation right now.
Max Brown hanging in 3rd behind Yukovic, and of course Matucci right now out front. We kind of expected those 3 would be among the 3 highest finishers, and so far so good for them.
Yeah, they're coming up to the 1,000 here, and I would expect the last 600 to be extremely fast.
Matucci, you can tell he's starting to pick it up a little bit, and he's putting some distance between him and Yukovic. By the way, I think that's Chris Blagg in 4th place that's hanging tough. Matucci, Yukovic, and Brown in that order. 2 laps to go. Carnegie Mellon's made a move, knocking Blagg out of 4th place. Liam Walsh at the moment running in 4th. Ethan Brodeur having a tough race. He has fallen well back of the rest of the pack as Matucci has really started to push ahead. 200 meters left for Nick Matucci as he tries to put himself in the top 15 in the country. Yukovic and Brown battling for 2nd. Liam Walsh in 4th. Chris Blagg in 5th. Matucci is torching the field.
Brown and Yukovic are going to fight all the way out to the finish line here.
It's not going to be a UAA record, but an easy 1st place finish. Yukovic in 2nd, Brown in 3rd. And Liam Walsh finishes in 4th, followed by Chris Blagg. 4:13.28. That is enough right now to put him in 14th place in the country. But of course, with championship meets all over the nation, who knows if it will hold up. But Matucci can take comfort knowing that not only is he a UAA champion in the 1 mile, but he is, at the moment, in position to qualify for the national meet. Great run by WashU's Nick Matucci. He is your champion in the men's 1 mile. We'll take a brief timeout. When we come back, our next race on the track will be the 60-meter hurdles. That starts at approximately 12:40, so about 15 minutes from now. Also, pole vault and men's shot put coverage. Pole vault now, shot put coming starting at 12:30. That's on deck. You're watching continuing coverage of the 2018 UAA Indoor Track and Field Championships.
It's a final event. Here's your finals results in women's triple jump. In 6th place from Emory University, Nyla Lindo. In 5th place from the University of Chicago, Grace Penders. In 4th place from Washington University, Elise Child. In 3rd place from Washington University, In fourth place is Case Western Reserve with 26 points. In third place is Emory with 32 points. Washington is in second place with 65 points. And leading the way in the women's league is the University of Chicago with 74 points. Here are your weight assignments for the women's 60-meter hurdles. This is a following event.
Doing one step?
In the lane one, from Washington University, number 303, Caitlin Cheeseborough. In lane two, from Washington University, number 317, Joanne Pittman. In lane three, from Emory University, number 215, from Phyllis Osei. In lane four, from Washington University, number 342, Kara Watson-Ames. In lane five, from Case Western Reserve University, number 115, Olivia Newman. And in lane six, from Emory University, number 205, Gabriel Davis. Final results on the men's 1 mile run. In sixth place from New York University, Karen Senja. In fifth place from Washington University, Ethan Brodeur. In fourth place from Carnegie Mellon University, William Walsh. In third place from Emory University, Max Brown. In second place from Carnegie Mellon University, Evan Gulick. And in first place from Washington University with a time of 4 minutes, 13.28 seconds, Mr. G of Washington University. The score in advancement after 7 minutes. In fourth place, New York University with 25 points. In third place, Case Western with 32 points. In second place, Carnegie Mellon with 55 points. And in first place with 61 points, Washington University.
Everything's straight out of the box, all right? All right, Brandon, let's do it. Come on now. on, Braylon, hit it. Come on now.
If you just step up a little bit, there, you just take it.
This is the pace I'm supposed to be running, so let's see how long I can do that for. And it's just I was going like, damn, I'm tired. It's such a different thing.
Back to our continuing coverage of the UAA Indoor Track and Field Championships at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, alongside former Spartan runner Nate Wahner. I am Wahner. I said your name wrong, man. My bad. I'm Brendan Gulick. Glad to have you on board here this afternoon. The 60-meter hurdles are actually just about to get started. And this one's kind of interesting because as we took a look at not just the contestants who are scheduled to run, but those who are in sort of the national leaderboard, the top runner in the UAA is not competing on the ladies' side.
Yeah, Peter Robin, who's 7th, she's not out there. I just have to wonder what's going on there. If it's an injury, hopefully she's able to take care of that and get back for the national meet, or get back for the outdoor meet, because competitors like that bring a lot to this championship. When you're 7th in the nation, you elevate the level of competition here, and you can bring a lot to this championship and outdoors as well. So really hope that she's able to get healthier, get back on the track.
Robin Peter runs for the University of Chicago 8.90, her fastest time of the year. That is the 7th fastest in the country, and it is a good 0.2 of a second clear of WashU's Kira Watson-Haynes, who will run this race, and she'll be in lane 4. WashU also has Caitlin Cheeseborough in lane 1 and Jaylon Pittman in lane 2. Emory has a terrific runner in lane 3. That's Dillis Osai, 9.24, her fastest time of the year. Cheeseborough at 9.25, and she'll run in lane 1. Case Western's Olivia Newman in lane 5. Emory's Gabrielle Davis runs in lane 6. Gabrielle Davis on the year, 9.68 is her fastest time. That's 12th in UAA competition this year, so not everybody is going to run this race that you'd expect. But the one that does leave you scratching your head is that Robin Peter is not competing for a UAA championship. So whatever the case is there, hope that she is healthy. And if she's not, hopefully her injury doesn't prevent her from competing in the national meet, where she certainly would qualify as of now. Got to be top 15 in the country.
Yeah, Gabrielle Davis yesterday ran a pretty big PR by 0.2 of a second to get into finals. So that's big for her and big for Emory.
We are probably in the neighborhood of 90 seconds or so away from the start of this race. We'll have the women's 60-meter hurdles quickly thereafter, followed by the men's 60-meter hurdles. And then we'll go to the women's 400-meter dash and the men's 400-meter dash. Those are coming up. There's only 2 remaining field events, and they are both now simultaneously in action. We've got the men's pole vault and the men's shot put. Every other field event has already been contested. If you have missed parts of the course of the weekend, whether it's today or otherwise, you can check the live results page. That's also linked by our live video feed, and you'll be able to kind of follow along and figure out who the champions are and which teams are competing well. Our runners are getting ready as they're just about to take their marks. Again, lane 4, Kira Watson-Haynes, the favorite. Dillis Osei from Emory in lane 3, also a terrific runner. And watch Caitlin Cheeseborough in lane 1. Conference record 8.77 seconds. Off they go, and a great start in lane 4. Kira Watson-Haynes hanging on. A good push in lane 3 from Dillis Osei. It's a sprint to the finish. 8.95 appears to be the winning time. Who is first?
Dillis Osei.
Osei from Emory, a UAA champion. Watson-Haynes kind of tailed off. She finished in 3rd. Nice job by Jaylon Pittman. She finishes in 2nd, 9.01. Osei, 8.98 is flying.
Yeah, that's so fast.
Far and away her best.
Vault her up into the top 16 too, so, or top 17. So that'll put her up in contention for nationals with that 8.98, and that's blistering fast.
She is overcome with emotion and being embraced by her coaching staff and her fellow runners. Realizes what she just accomplished, and she knows that there are bigger things ahead of her, but she is a UAA champion. How cool. She is literally right below us, overcome with emotion. Super, super cool to see her teammates embrace her like that. We've all made the trip from Atlanta. All right, we're getting ready for the men's 60-meter hurdles, as the hurdles will all be raised just a bit. For those who don't know, what's the difference in the height between the women and the men's hurdle heights?
I believe it's 6 inches, might be 9, but the men get bumped all the way up to the the highest height, and you'll also see them on pulling back on the weights on the bottom too, so that the men can't shoot through these and just knock them all down with their trail leg. So you want to make them heavy, slow them down a little bit, and really force them to actually get over the hurdles.
So the men's 60-meter hurdles coming up here shortly. It should begin at 12:45 as the guys get ready to go. University of Chicago has 2 competitors, Patrick Lefevre and Will Ackerman. For Washington University, Andrew Whitaker. Case Western with 2 competitors, Grant Mlack and Dominic Odo. And for Emory, Benjamin Rogan. conference championship record, 8.14 seconds, set by Tyler Jackson back in 2012.
Yeah, the two to keep your eye on this are Rogan and Lefevre. They've battled the past few years, and you can just expect to see another great race here between the two of them. And then, Will Ackerman, he's also been running great the past few years, and so you can expect to see just a great race overall today. And you never know what can happen in the hurdles. You clip one, maybe you're off a step, could open the door for somebody else to squeak in there and take some points.
You mentioned Ben Rogan from Emory, 8.35, his best time on the year. Patrick Lefevre, 8.39. That was his best time, so you expect those two to probably be right around each other. Will Ackerman, 8.5 seconds. Don't count him out either.
Yeah, and yesterday during qualifying, Ackerman and Otto had come into this, and they'd already done 2 or 3 events beforehand, so they're probably feeling a little more fresh today without a couple events prior, and you can expect to see some good things from them too. They're multi-event athletes. They do a lot, and you see them in a few HEPs indoors and probably deck outdoors.
Rogan's 8.35 right now is 32nd in the country. He's got to get inside the top 15 if he wants to run in Birmingham in a couple weeks at the national meet. Rogan's in lane 3, Lefevre in lane 4, Whitaker in lane 2 for Washington University. So from right to left across your screen, Ackerman, Whitaker, Rogan, Lefevre, Black, and Otto. Case Western will have representatives on those outside 2 lanes in 5 and in 6. And you might get a little confused between the white and the yellow, but don't let that bother you. They are running on the yellow lanes, not the white lanes on the outside. That's for the longer races around the track, but just the yellow lines on the straightaways. Men's 60-meter hurdles. Here we go. Rogan with a bit of a slow start. Lefevre gets out really quickly, and he's way out front. Ackerman trying to keep it close on the outside. They're racing to the finish, and it looks like it's a win for Lefevre. We'll wait for the official times. It is a UAA championship for Patrick Lefevre. Rogan in second, 2 100s behind him. Whitaker from Washington University in third. Case Western Reserve goes 4-6 in the event.
That 8:28 vaults him up into 21st in the nation as well, which is extremely good and sets himself up to make a run later in the or next week and hopefully make the nationals.
So congratulations to Patrick Lefevre for the University of Chicago and Emory's Dillis Osai, the men's and women's 60-meter hurdle champions. You'll see a little bit of coverage there of the pole vault as they get ready for the next track event. It's the women's 400-meter dash. It'll be 2 different finals because of the way the track is constructed. Rather than having 6 runners, since it's only a 5-lane track around the outside for the longer distances, they'll have 2 sections of 3, and we'll see how those times all stack up against each other. That's coming up here shortly. Back in just a moment at Case Western Reserve University.
standings after the events. In 6th place with 23 points, University of Chicago. In 5th place with 24 points, Emory. In 4th place with 25 points, New York University. In 3rd place with 37 points is Western Reserve University. In 2nd place with 55 points, Carnegie Mellon University. And in 1st place with 67 points, Washington University.
Off and running, literally, here in the latter portion of our coverage. Day 2, it's the final day of the 2018 UAA Indoor Track and Field National Championships. Along with Nate Wahner and Brendan Gulick, we've already competed in the men's and women's 1-mile races. We've also had these 60-meter hurdles for both genders, and now we're into the 400-meter dash. We will start on the ladies' side and have 2 separate heats. The 6 ladies that qualified for today's finals, but that's only a 5-lane track around, so they'll have 2 heats of 3. And in the first heat, 2 ladies from Emory and 1 from NYU. Caitlin Leonard will run in lane 4, Erica Goldman from Emory running in lane 6, and Juice Sanders-Schifano in lane 5. Women's 400-meter dash in UAA history, along with the 200-meter dash, are some races that I think you could make a real case as being some of the signature events in this conference because of some of the terrific young ladies that have come through this conference, even in recent memory.
Yeah, I mean, Rebecca Ritterhoff, Daisy Ogaday, Kelly Hancock, Emily Wahner before them. Just WashU's been really loaded with runners coming through, and you've got runners like Erica Goldman, Ari Newhouse, Caitlin Leonard, who they were at the outdoor championship last year in the 4x4, and a few of them competed in the individual 400 as well. So a lot of talent, and be exciting to see what they can do here today.
You're seeing occasional shots of the pole vault and the shot put as well, but on the track, our ladies are taking their marks. Caitlin Leonard in lane 4, Sanders-Schifano in lane 5, and Erica Goldman in lane 6, and off they go. Emory has the 2 navy bibs on. In the middle, NYU is in white and purple.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy to this indoor 400 you don't see outdoors here. This break is super important to win, or or be really close in second, because you got to be able to make a move on that second lap, and if you're too boxed in or too far behind, you just can't do that.
Erica Goldman with 1 lap to go in good shape. Sandra Schifano right behind her. Great move by Sandra Schifano on the final turn. And at the moment, Sandra Schifano is well out front as the Violets cheer her on to the finish line. Goldman on her tail. Caitlin Leonard fading a little bit. And a nice 57.11 for Sandra Schifano. That is better than her prelim time of 58.8. It's officially 57.15 for Sandra Schifano from NYU, but will it be enough to hold up for a championship? Goldman's at 57.79. There will be 3 more runners in this second heat. Olivia Newman, Nicole Vaca-Guzman, and Sarah Cook from Case, Chicago, and Carnegie Mellon, respectively.
That 57.15 will really jump up Sandra Schifano into the top 17. And when these times get adjusted to a bank track for the national qualifying, she'll probably be up there in the top 8. So she's looking at a really nice time there.
The reason they make that adjustment, some tracks are banked, some are not, but they will run on a banked track down in Birmingham. So you got to make sure that all the times are equatable.
Converted so that they're...
It's a lot different to run on a flat track than a bank track for sure.
Yeah, and the tactics of even a sprint race like the 4 or the 2 is extremely different.
Olivia Newman in lane 4 here for Case, running on her home track.
Nicole Vaca-Guzman is in lane 5, and she had the top qualifying time yesterday.
57.69 for her. Vaca-Guzman running for the Maroons, who have had a really good second day. Is it going to be enough to win a UAA championship? This would certainly help.
And Sarah Cook on the outside is also an excellent 400-meter runner and also great in the 800.
They come to the inside lane. Cook and Vaca-Guzman neck and neck. Olivia Newman trailing a bit down into third. Vaca-Guzman has just about a stride lead or so. About 100 meters to go. Vaca-Guzman needs to beat 57.15 if she's going to be a UAA champion this year.
She's put herself in a great position here to do so.
She is flying down the stretch. It's going to be really close. And she will not win the UAA championship. That goes to just Sandra Schifano from NYU in our first heat. Vaca-Guzman at 57.61, I believe, comes in third place. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Erica Goldman was just a couple of ticks ahead of her. But either way, NYU came into the day with 1 point. And they've got 20 in about an hour because they have 2 UAA champions. So Sandra Schifano wins the title there on the women's 400-meter dash. Next up, we'll have the men's 400-meter dash. Similar story where we'll have 2 different heats. We'll have one that will begin at 1 o'clock. That is essentially now. And then we'll have a second heat just a few minutes after that. 3 runners in each heat. First for the men in lane 4, Case Western Reserves, Jonathan Haling. For Washington University, Jason Singer in lane 5. For Liam Faust in Emory in lane 6. These guys, all 3 of them, their qualifying times were separated by a combined 0.5 seconds. They were all less than 51 seconds. In fact, all 6 of these runners are barely separated by a second. The top qualifier is Irie Gord from Brandeis. We'll see him run in lane 5 in the next section. But for now, Haling in 4, Singer in 5, Faust in 6. Everybody gets off to a clean start. Looks like Haling really got off to a good start in lane 4. Haling is hanging in there.
Haley's making a great move here, just opening up the gap, which is what you have to do.
Yeah, but
He's
Singer
really
is
making
right on his
Singer
tail.
work on this first or the second curve, which is really big. Having to put a push in like that to try to win the break is really hard.
Haling and Singer right now 1-2, with Foss trailing behind in third. See if either Haling or Singer can conserve a little energy for the down the stretch. At the moment, it's Washington University's Jason Singer. First of 2 heats in the men's 400-meter dash. Trying to make a late push. Haling right on his tail. Singer coming to the finish line and just out touching each of his 2 competitors. 1, 2, 3. And they were separated by extremely little time. A total of exactly 0.5 between the 3, which is what we said coming in from the prelims too. That was a great race.
Yeah, great race there. Singer really had to fight to hold his line and try to win the break, but Haling was able to hold him off. Then you saw Singer was able to make his move on the backstretch, which helped secure him the win there.
Interestingly enough, all 3 guys were a little slower today than they were yesterday in their qualifiers. I wonder for what reason that might have been. But at the moment, Jason Singer's 51.16 is the mark to beat for Eddie Wintergalen from Washington University, Irie Gord from Brandeis, and Malcolm Montelis from NYU.
Yeah, Irie Gord's the #1 400-meter runner in the nation too, so we can expect to see a big race here from him.
I would certainly think so. He is fun to watch, and he'll be in lane 4. Even though Gord is #1 in the nation, he is essentially a full second ahead of everybody else in the UAA. And sometimes when he's out there running, it looks like he's just gliding on the track.
He looks really smooth on these turns, which is big, and he's not rushing the cut in here, and he's setting himself up to run another great curve.
His best time of the year, 47.81. Might we see him do anything better than that? Montelis needs to have a great race to put himself in position to get to the Nationals. He's currently in 19th nationally. Gord is in a great spot. Montelis right on his heels. Wintergalen trying to make it tight. Oh my goodness, Gord is caught at the end and it's a nose finish. Who out-touched who? Photo finish. Montelis upsets Gord for the UAA championship. By .05. Wow.
That was a fast race. Great move by Montelis to wait till the last stretch to make his move.
That was fast.
Yeah, great move by Montelis too. Wait until that last curve to really gear himself up to slingshot off and take the win.
And with that time for Montelis,
I'm not sure Gord knew he was even coming.
yeah, you almost wonder if Gord maybe just pulled up a little bit because he knew that, I mean, he's going to go to the national meet for sure. Now, Montelis, his 48.85 is his season best, so that time, while it was enough to win this race, it's not enough to vault him any higher in the national standings.
Well,
But
those times are, these are adjusted times, so that time when it is adjusted will probably vault him up into the top 5, top 10.
So what's the difference between the times if someone wanted to roughly guess?
It's about 0.8 seconds for the 400. So yeah, he'll be right up here around 7th, maybe squeak up into 4th or 5th place.
Well, there are some other guys that run the 400 here across the country. A.J. Digby at Mount Union was a Paralympic athlete at the Olympic Games in Rio. Peter Girardi is terrific from St. John Fisher. Marquise Brown was a finalist last year in the both 100 and 200 in the outdoor meet. Peyton Piron from North Central is another just crazy fast runner. So there are some incredibly talented sprinters. But if Montelis is now a part of them, could be a lot of fun to watch him compete down in Birmingham. So we move away from the hurdles and now to the flat-out 60-meter dash. They've already done the 60-meter hurdles. Those came a little bit ago, and this is essentially measuring your fastest man or fastest woman now on the indoor track. It's the 100-meter dash outside, the 60-meter dash inside. The number one fastest 60-meter dash athlete on the ladies' side in the country. I mean, it's almost like she's playing a different sport. Wadelin Jonathas from UMass Boston, who swept the 100, 200, and 400-meter dashes in the outdoor spring meet as a freshman from UMass Boston, has a .3 lead over the next fastest runner indoor in the country, and that's Quinn Harlan from Roanoke. So it's really, it's almost ridiculous what Waddle and Jonathas has done. In terms of the UAA, Alicia Harris right now is just on the outside, and when they adjust it, as you have mentioned, there's a pretty good chance she could move up, but she's got to have a really good time. 7.81 is her top qualifying time. She is a really, really good runner, but she's got to have a good race here this afternoon.
Yeah, she ran 780 yesterday, and Denny Bland ran 774, which puts her up in tied for sixth place. So we can expect to see a really fast final here today.
Certainly would think so. Danny Bland will run in lane 4. Claire Watson-Haynes, who just ran those hurdles, is in lane 2. Rebecca Bondi from Emory, and then Danny Bland in lanes 3 and 4. Two ladies from the University of Chicago. We mentioned Elisa Harris. Mary Martin is running in lane 6. And we also saw Dillis Osei earlier. She was the champion of the 60-meter hurdles. Now she'll just sprint for her life. She's in lane 7 for Emory. The UAA record set 2 years ago by Daisy Ojeda from Washington University, 7.63. Could we see that mark fall this afternoon?
It's going to take a real special performance to see that mark fall, but, you know, there is the talent in this field to do it.
Danny Bland, Alicia Harris, certainly the two favorites. At the moment, University of Chicago ladies and the Washington University men are the top team totals, and those are both scored, the women through 11 events, the men through 9 events. That's the latest update we have for you on that front. Getting ready for the 60-meter dash. Alicia Harris, lane 5, starts well. So does Watson-Haynes in lane 2. She's fading. Harris being pushed by Danny Bland, and it looks like Bland might be first to the line. Waiting to see the official times when they come up. We are still we are delayed at the moment. Got to wait and see who finished where, but I think Danny Bland may have just won the race. Waiting to see. Here are your results. Still waiting. Must be a computer miscalculation there at the outset, but they're working through it. As the men's 60-meter hurdles prepare, everybody anxiously staring up at the board to figure out who finished where. How did you see it?
Yeah, it seemed like Danny Bland pulled that one out. I didn't really see who was second because it was really close in there.
There you go, Danny Bland in first place. She's a UAA champion with a 7.71. Chicago goes 2 and 3. Great run for Chicago, and that will help them with 14 more points to add to the team total.
Yeah, that 771 will put her second in the nation behind Waddle and Jonathas that you mentioned before. So that's an incredible run right there.
771 with no adjustment because it's on the 60-meter. That is unbelievably fast.
Yeah, that's blazing fast. So that's incredible to see and great to see.
Danny Bland heading back to Birmingham without question. In the meantime, for the men's 60-meter dash, those guys have taken the mark, or maybe not. Well, I guess they have. Okay. We'll give you the competitors here in a moment. Keep your eye on Zay Alcedo for WashU in lane 5, Marvin Bennett in lane 4. Those are the top 2 heat times. They are flying down the stretch. Good push on the outside from Charlie Reagan and Roderick Smith. It is a photo finish right down the middle. In fact, Carnegie Mellon's Marvin Bennett came up limping, and he grabs his right hamstring. Bennett wins the race 6.99, but he is in some pain. Alcedo from Washington University finishes in second with Miller right behind. You want to talk about a bang-bang race. The top 3 separated by 4/10 of a second.
Yeah, and I mean, overall, the whole race is only separated by a little more than a tenth. That's you know, the kind of race you want to see in a final for the 60. You want to see something super competitive and tight across the board. That's exactly what we got.
Marvin Bennett, a UAA champion in the men's 60-meter dash. Hopefully he's okay, as he certainly came up after he felt his right hamstring tweak. 6.99 is also blazing fast.
Yeah, and he's supposed to come back and run the 200 final later, so he's probably got about 15 to 20 minutes to, you know, figure out if he could run that and take care of himself.
6.99 will not put him in the national meet, but it is far and away the best performance for a UAA athlete this year. Zay Alcedo had run 7:06 prior to this meet, so a sub-7 second 60-meter dash is awfully impressive. All right, we'll step aside for just a moment. When we come back, next thing on the docket is the women's 800-meter run, followed by the men's 800-meter run. That's coming up next from Case Western Reserve University. Time for the women's 800-meter championship. at the 2018 UAA Indoor Track and Field Games. Along with Nate Wahner, a former standout athlete for Case Western Reserve, I'm Brendan Gulick. We are right in the heart right now of our track championships. Had a lot of the preliminary races yesterday to set up today's championship runs. We've had field events throughout the course of our two-day competition. This is the women's 800 meter. The top seed here is Gabrielle Stravich from Emory. She is running in lane 5, but they will certainly converge in a little bit. Stravich already won the women's 1 mile championship earlier today.
Yeah, she had a great race yesterday in the prelims to give herself that fast seed time. Sophie Gigo is not in the picture right now, but she is up here in lane 4 on the stagger.
Sarah Messiano and Annalise Wagner joined Sophie Grigo from WashU. Megan Werner-Christ went second in the mile. She's running with Cassidy McPherson from Chicago. Mentioned Stravich from Brandeis, Doyen Ogundiran. Her with a prelim time of 2:23. That's significantly outside the rest of the pack. Perhaps she won a protest and is allowed to compete for the championship. This is the 800 meter dash, so on the indoor track that's 4 laps around. And at the moment, a nice start. Washington University out front. It's Annalise Wagner setting the pace. Werner-Christ right behind her.
I believe that's McPherson in second. Stravich and Werner-Christ are at the back right now. They're probably feeling a little fatigued from the mile, and then they probably hope that this stays a little bit conservative and they can stay in contact and maybe have a kick to bring it home.
You're right, that's a good catch on your part. Cassidy McPherson trying to keep up, but at the moment, Annalise Wagner really pushing things ahead. Washington University for that first 2 laps pretty much had 3 of the top 4 spots, but now a nice push from Doyen Ogundiran into third place, hanging around the turn. Annalise Wagner still out front for the Lady Bears. Conference record 2 minutes 10.99 seconds. Wagner enters the final lap. She's got to get moving, and you can tell, you're right, Stravich and Werner-Christ back in the pack. They are really struggling after having gone 1-2 in the mile earlier today. Washington University could really use some points with the way Chicago has competed today. Annalise Wagner, this is her race to lose at this point. Could the Bears go 1-2? Ogundiran falling back, trying to hang on for second, and she will not. Sophie Grigo finishes in second. No, she doesn't.
Yeah, that was a really tight finish.
Wow, by 1/100th of a second.
That is quite the finish, super tight there.
Oh my goodness. Well, forgive me for saying that backwards, but I hope you can understand why I felt it was the other way around. Either way, Annalise Wagner, your champion in the women's 800 meter run. Stravich with a nice kick at the end. She finished in 4th place to help Emory as a team. Werner-Christ from the University of Chicago had a tough race. She must have just been gassed from her performance in the mile a little bit earlier. And with that, we move to the men's side of things on the 800. In the men's 800, who do you like?
You know, it's hard to say. Of U Chicago, Joe Pribity had a great race yesterday. He looked really good. John Harry Wagner also had a great race. I think overall this is a pretty wide open race. There's a lot of talent here. You got Isaac Mills in lane 6. He's a great 800 and 400 meter runner. Evan Larrick down there from Carnegie as well. So I think this is a pretty wide open race. You got Mike Brodesky down in lane 1, the sophomore. He's been running great this season, and these guys are all packed in a really tight, about 2-second window, and 4 of them are in within a second of each other. So I think we'll see a great race here, and you know, think it's pretty wide open.
Even though Nick Mattiucci, who won the men's mile race earlier today, had one of the fastest 800 times all season, he is not running in the men's 800. So keep your eye on Joe Praviti from the University of Chicago. Praviti is running in lane 5. Isaac Mills in lane 6, another one who's trying to improve his national standing. Mills from Carnegie Mellon along with Evan Larrick in lane 3.
Yeah, I mean,
Mike Radesky from Case in lane 1.
As you can see from the women's side, it's hard to do that mile 800 double. So Matucci might be deciding to go for maybe the 3K later, or just not even try to do this double because it's very brutal on your body. Focus on the mile and just get the win there.
Joe Praviti out front after 1 lap, 3 to go. Isaac Mills right on his tail. Thomas Gales and John Harry Wagner from Washington University trying to keep things close. They're in 3rd and 6th place at the moment. Praviti and Mills right now 1-2.
Mills and Radesky have seen each other 2 or 3 times already this season, so they know each other well, they know each other's strategy well, and can expect to see some excitement out of the 2 of them.
Praviti, then Mills, then Thomas Gales from Wash U, then Case's Mike Radesky in that order. Conference record in the 800 meter was set all the way back in 1999. 1:51.65. I don't think that's going to fall today, but a great push by Isaac Mills. Praviti is really starting to suck wind. You can see it in his face. He's struggling a little bit. Mills has kicked it into another gear. Praviti wants to make a move down that stretch, and he is raced out front. Praviti and Mills putting on a clinic down the final 50 meters. It's Mills on the outside, Praviti on the inside, trying to hold on. He's done it. Joe Praviti from Chicago, a UAA champion in the men's 800 meter.
It's a fast time.
54.88. Terrific race for Joe Praviti. It's not his season best, but it's not terribly far off. Carnegie Mellon goes 2nd. Washington University picks up some points in 3rd and in 4th with Gales and Wagner right there. Next thing we have upcoming on the track, the women's 200 meter dash and the men's 200 meter. We've only got 6 races left. Women and men will rotate the 200 meter, then the 3,000, and then the 4x4 relay to close things out. By the way, we'll try to get you some results from the pole vault and the shot put too. The pole vault still being contested. Looks like the shot put has wrapped up. So when we get a chance to pass those along, we will do so. In the meantime, the women's 200 meter dash, similar to the races earlier on the 400 meter dash, they will run 2 separate heats with 3 runners each. And consistently throughout this day, we're going to start to see some young ladies that have already run other races. All 6 of the contestants in the women's 200 meter have already competed in other races today.
Yeah, I mean, this is a common double. You've only got 25 athletes to enter into this meet, so you have to have people that can run the 50 or the 55 or 60 in the 200, or the 4 in the 2, or maybe even the hurdles in the 200. So you can't just have people that are, especially on the sprint side, showing up to run 1 or 2, like one event. You got to do 2, maybe 3, just to be able to cover all of the races and for a coach to have a competitive team. So it's really important to have versatile athletes that can excel both in the 400 and the 200, the 60 and the 200. That's why you see all these girls are doubling back from either the 60 or the 4. Delos Osei is tripling back now. She ran the 60 and the 60 hurdles, so it'll be interesting to see what she has here.
Women's 200 meter dash, best time in the country so far this year. Waddle and Jonathas from UMass Boston, 24.32 seconds. It's just ahead of Amber Sellen, who was a national champion last year in the 100-meter dash in the outdoor. She ran that in a blazing fast time. She is in second place in the nation 200 meters. This year indoor, it's 24.41, the best mark she's put up.
And just to note, the conversion time on this one is about 0.4. It's half the 400 conversion time. So when you see the times pop up, make sure you can you adjust it down 0.4 so that it's accurate for national qualifying if you're doing that at home.
Obviously, there are lots of athletes from the UAA over the years that have competed well nationally. And while this is certainly a conference that's known for its academic rigors, they are exceptional in several different regards on the competition side. The basketball teams in this conference are always terrific. Oftentimes you see some really, really good soccer teams come from the UAA. Track and field, obviously, more pertinent to what we're talking about today, but it's just so fun to watch competition in this conference because it really is a lot of times the premier athletes from Division III across the nation. Yeah,
and you'll see it in cross country too. They'll send 3-4 teams every year to the national championship out of just one conference, sometimes more, 5 or 6.
Jelon Pittman from WashU, Dillis Osei from Emory, and Chicago's Nicole Vaca-Guzman. Vaca-Guzman in white, Osei in navy, and Pittman in green. 200-meter dash. Gotta get moving, don't have a lot of time to get around that corner. Good run so far from Osei. She is out front. Vaca-Guzman really challenging her. Good run from Pittman down the stretch. Vaca-Guzman at the line, and she's awfully close with Osei. Let's see where they finish. Vaca-Guzman by .03 leads after the first heat. 25.75. Osei went 25.78. How will those hold up against Harris, Bland, and Martin? Time to see what Alicia Harris, Danny Bland, and Mary Martin have in store. Danny Bland victorious in the women's 60-meter dash. She is hoping to also win the women's 200-meter dash. If you are a champion in the 60 and in the 200, there is no question whatsoever you're the fastest person in, on either the men's side or women's side, respectively. Those are the two most difficult sprints for sure.
Yeah, the 60, it's all out. You don't have any time to make a mistake or recover from that. In this 200, you have to give a great start. Otherwise, it's really hard to make that up. It seems like a long race, but it's really not. They're only out there running for 25 seconds, and if your start's not quick enough, you already put yourself at a huge disadvantage. And indoors, it's especially important to be able to run great curves. They're tighter. You have to be able to lean into them, and you don't want to look like you're fighting them. You want to look like we've seen Irie Gord look on them and just so smooth around them. And if you do that, you're not going to be putting as much energy into the curve, and you're going to be able to use that to push along and run a fast time.
Vaca-Guzman at the moment, the time to beat, 25.75. That is her new fastest time of the year. Danny Bland's best time of the season, 26.19 seconds before this meet. She ran 25.6 seconds in the prelims. If she can do that again, she will be the champion. Mary Martin in lane 6 also broke 26 in the prelims yesterday. This should be a really fun race. Final heat, the women's 200. Harrison lane 4, Bland in 5, Martin in 6. Boy, Danny Bland is zooming up lane 5. In fact, she's leaving both her opponents in the dust. Danny Bland down the final stretch Can she hold off Harris and Martin? Danny Bland is cruising to victory. 25.55 unofficially. We'll see what it comes up. That might be enough to win it. It's 25.52, and Danny Bland wins the 200 and the 60-meter dash.